everybody, how's it going today? Ian back here with you, Entertainment Examiner. Hey, I'm very excited for this video today. I'm going to be telling you what my top 10 movies of 2017 are. Wow, what a great year for movies that 2017 was. We had great superhero movies like Wonder Woman and Spider-Man Homecoming. We had horror come back into a multi-million-dollar relevance with the release of Stephen King's It, which is a better film than the 1990 made-for-TV movie, and is going to be split into two parts, which it really should be. Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise the Clown, and the whole cast was just fantastic. We had War for the Planet of the Apes, which is the third in the Planet of the Apes new trilogy, and I think it was the best of the three, and it was a really great movie. We had movies like Baby Driver, which had some of the best chase scenes I have seen in a very long time, and we also had Logan, which is Hugh Jackman's final performance as Wolverine. It was an R-rated film noir brilliance. And finally, we had Darkest Hour, starring Gary Oldman as Winston Churchill, which I think he's a shoo-in for Best Actor, and he definitely should be. It's a great film about the early days of Churchill's prime ministership in England during World War II. As great as all those films were, though, those were only my runners-up for the top 10. Putting top 10 together this year was super hard, but anybody who reviews movies, it seems like it's a requirement to put some kind of list together, so I have put together 10 for you to view if you've not seen them yet, or to reminisce on if you have. So, here we go. Number 10, Get Out. Jordan Peele's thriller from earlier this year set the critics afire in love of this movie, and audiences loved it too. The Rotten Tomatoes score was somewhere in the high 90s. About Daniel Kaluuya's character is dating a Caucasian girl played by Allison Williams, and the racial tension between the family and him finding out what's really going on at her parents' house, it just sets into this whole brilliant thriller set under this umbrella of kind of looking at the state of race relations in the country now, but it's done very interestingly and intricately in Peele's direction. It makes it to be a pretty scary movie at times. I was thrilled with this movie when I saw it. I watched it at home. I unfortunately did not, for some reason, get out to the movies to go see it, but I remember getting up and getting a drink of water right before this movie, in the middle of the movie, and I couldn't wait to get back to see what was going to happen. It was just a great movie start to finish, and it definitely deserves a spot on my list. Jordan Peele got a Directors Guild nomination, which I think he's a very interesting choice, but a good choice, and we'll see what happens further down awards season for this movie. But it's a great thriller. It's a great movie, just overall. Number 9 on my list is Blade Runner 2049, the sequel to the 1982 cult film Blade Runner, starring Harrison Ford and directed by Ridley Scott. This movie is directed by Denis Villeneuve, but Ridley Scott is a producer on it. We are set many years in the future, and this is one of the most direct sequels I've ever seen, and also is the most visually stunning film I saw all year. Ryan Gosling plays Agent K, who is on the hunt for these Blade Runner robots, but needs help from somebody who has been long gone and missing for a very long time, and that is Rick Deckard, again played by Harrison Ford, in a great performance. I thought the whole movie had just great interactions between Ford and Gosling, and so much of the cast, including Jared Leto's villain, and I thought the whole movie just looked like it was you could watch the original Blade Runner and watch 2049, and it was like almost a complete entity. And that's one of the things I was really captured by it. And it was a little bit too long, as even some of the filmmakers have said. It was about a half hour too long. but still, that's a small quibble. This is a movie that I still think about from time to time, especially the visual effects and how great it was. And I definitely wanted to put Blade Runner 2049 on my top 10 list. Number 8 is Wind River. This is a suspense mystery film by Taylor Sheridan, who's just an awesome up and coming writer and now director. He wrote Sicario, an awesome movie with Emily Blunt, Benicio del Toro, and Josh Brolin. And then he wrote Hell or High Water last year with Jeff Bridges, Ben Foster, and Chris Pine, which was a great heist mystery. This is a murder mystery set in the reservations of Wyoming. You have a fish and wildlife tracker played by Jeremy Renner, who is asked to help in this investigation by an FBI agent played by Elizabeth Olsen. The interaction between Renner and Olsen is terrific. The scenery is beautiful to look at. Sheridan has a wonderful direction, and there's a shootout scene that still resonates with me at this trailer when all this tension has just come to a head, looking for this young girl's killer. Wind River was a small film. It should have been a lot bigger than it was, and I hope now that it's out on DVD and Blu-ray, you all will go out and search it out if you haven't seen it yet, because it's definitely worthy of recognition, and it's a great, great film. Number 7 is The Disaster Artist. This stars James Franco and his younger brother Dave Franco. James Franco plays Tommy Wiseau, who directed what is well known as the worst film ever made called The Room in 2003. This is the kind of the behind-the-scenes story of how Wiseau and his friend, played by Dave Franco, were trying to become up-and-coming actors and couldn't make it, so they just decided, what the heck, we're going to write our own movie. And with no filmmaking experience or writing experience at all, nothing makes sense, nothing flows into the other scenes, don't mesh at all. There's stuff that's left, there's stuff that's just left open, and the movie's just very entertaining. But it's also a movie about friendship and love, and just how this movie that was just not supposed to go anywhere has gotten a cult following and has midnight screenings like a Rocky Horror Picture Show kind of movie. But I really enjoyed the Disaster Artist. It was super funny and well acted and directed, and I just think it definitely earns a spot. Number 6, we're up to number 6 already. The Shape of Water. Wow, Guillermo del Toro's fable, modern day fable about a young mute woman played by Sally Hawkins, brilliantly played by Sally Hawkins, who works in this laboratory as a janitor along with Octavia Spencer's character, and she stumbles upon this sea creature that they are taking in from South America, and they want to study it, and then Michael Shannon's character wants to kill it. Well, Sally Hawkins takes the creature and develops an affection and a love for it. The movie is really a story about love. It's a story about loneliness and how anything really, buddy, or anything that you meet can spur something in you that might have been missing or lost or forgotten. And it's really a beautiful story, and Del Toro is just such a visually brilliant director. I talked in the review of this about Pan's Labyrinth, what a brilliant film that was. He did in 2006. And I think that he captures, especially with these blues and these greens he gets throughout the movie, his choice of colors and choice of actors, his choice of a 1950s setting is also very rewarding for this picture. And I think it's just a wonderful film. And I'm glad he's getting a lot of award recognition, and he just won a Golden Globe Award for Best Director, so good for him. Number 5 is The Big Sick. The Big Sick just is a movie that I think it became like the highest grossing independent film of the year or something like that. I'm trying to remember. It stars Kumail Nanjiani, who's a comedian that you may know off the HBO show Silicon Valley. This is a story about him and his real-life wife, Emily Gordon. They both wrote this movie. This is their story. Now, Johnny plays himself in the movie, and his wife is played by Zoe Kazan in the film. Nanjiani is a struggling stand-up comedian who meets this girl one night, his wife, at the club he's at, and then they start dating, and all of a sudden she gets sick and falls into a coma. Well, he doesn't leave her side the whole time and ends up meeting her parents, wonderfully played by Holly Hunter and Ray Romano. I loved both of them in this movie. This is just a wonderfully funny, heartwarming story. It's their story, and they put it on film, and I thank both of them for that, because they gave us one of the best and most rewarding movies of the whole year with The Big Sick. I thought it was just wonderful, from the aspects where his Pakistani family wants to arrange a marriage for him, so we get to meet all the different women that he does not want to marry at all, and that's kind of humorous the way he sets that up, and just the whole sadness of her illness, and then everything's so rewarding at the end. It's just a great movie. It's called The Big Sick. Everyone should really check this movie out. Number 4 is a great film, Steven Spielberg's The Post. The Post is a movie starring Tom Hanks as Washington Post editor Ben Bradley, and Meryl Streep as the owner, Katharine Graham. Not many women were in a position of power in the early 1960s, where this film was set during the Vietnam War. The movie is just as much about how she was kind of looked down upon because of that, as it is about the stealing of the Pentagon papers and the classified documents, and how the Washington Post, particularly Graham, had to decide whether or not to publish this stuff. They all could have gone to prison for it, and she had to make a decision. The supporting cast is brilliant: Bradley Whitford, Sarah Paulson, Bob Odenkirk, just a who's who of great actors. And Hanks and Streep have seldom been better. I mean, you really can't say much about them. And Spielberg's direction, again, he's Steven Spielberg, and he directs probably one of my favorite movies he's done in a long time. So I thought The Post was very well done. It's just as much a movie about the First Amendment as it is about a story about a time and place. It's not preachy. It doesn't try to push any political ideology. I didn't think so anyway. It's just a great story. And I definitely highly, highly recommend The Post for anyone who's interested in history or great acting or directing. Number 3. Number 3 is a coming-of-age story. And I think that Hollywood's been doing a fantastic job with coming-of-age stories in the past few years. And there's been few better than Lady Bird, written and directed by Greta Gerwig, who just makes this tale seem so relevant about a mother and daughter, played by Saoirse Ronan, as the girl who insists on being called Lady Bird instead of her name Christine, and her mother, Marion, played by Laurie Metcalf. And it's really it's as much about them as it is about Lady Bird wanting to break out of Sacramento, California, and move to New York City, and her mother wanting her to stay put. Her father, Tracy Letts, who's also in The Post, that he's encouraging his daughter, but she wants to break free. She has all the trials and tribulations of high school, and she's at this very strict Catholic school, so you get to see a lot of that as well. There's some wonderful supporting characters, and the whole movie is just so sweet and so touching and just heartbreaking, and I can't wait to see what Greta Gerwig does next. I think she deserves a Best Director Oscar nomination. I think there's only been like 3 or 4 women ever nominated in the 90-year history of the Oscars for Best Director, and this picture is so well done and so honest and so true to life that I definitely want to see Greta Gerwig nominated, as also Ronan and Metcalf, of course. I really love this movie, and I hope that Lady Bird is expanding even more now. It got a perfect 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it became the best reviewed movie ever. So, no pressure. So, go see Lady Bird. It's playing in a lot of theaters now. My number 2 film is directed by one of our best directors we have, Christopher Nolan, and that is Dunkirk. Dunkirk is the story of the British and French soldiers who were trapped on the beaches of Dunkirk during World War II and surrounded by German forces and had no way to escape. As we saw in, if you watch the movie Darkest Hour that I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of mentions of Dunkirk in it. Everyone knows Churchill's famous speech on he mentions the land, the sea, and the air, and that's exactly what director Christopher Nolan takes us to. The air with Tom Hardy, the land with Kenneth Branagh, over this group of scared soldiers, and on the sea with a civilian boat anchored by the brilliant Mark Rylance and his son trying to get in this other group of boats of civilian boats to rescue these soldiers. Nolan, his camera takes you right in. It doesn't light up the whole movie. The movie builds and builds along with Hans Zimmer's ticking score that is just, it's so intricate and so interesting to listen to. And the visuals are just stunning here. There's the fact that Nolan has never got a Best Director Oscar nomination, not for The Dark Knight and not for Inception, is just crazy. Or any of his films, Memento, any of them. But I really think it's his time, and this is the movie that he just needs to. It's a great look at war. It's a great look at the battle at the time. It has great performances by all. And I think Dunkirk is a movie that still sits with me. And it still resonates with me. And that's why it is my number 2 film for 2017. But that brings me to my number 1 film of the year, and that is 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. What a fantastic film this is. This film is about a woman named Mildred, played by Frances McDormand. After her daughter is raped and murdered, she rents 3 billboards right outside of her home to ask the Sheriff Wilby, played by Woody Harrelson, why her daughter's case has not been solved. This takes many different directions with the people in the town, including a kind of vile deputy, wonderfully played by Sam Rockwell. And as different stories start to converge and different elements start to play out, this becomes one of the best crime thrillers almost of the year. And it's really all based on how great McDormand's performance is. She's just absolutely brilliant here and determined and wonderful. The movie is also probably the best written film of the year by Martin McDonagh, who also directs the film. His dialogue is so everyday and so easy, and it's very funny at times. And his whole plot structure is wonderful. And we get to meet her ex-husband, played by John Hawkes, and a local townsperson, played by Peter Dinklage from Game of Thrones. But the film that resonated with me the most was 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, because of its, it's got a great title, but it was a great story, and the writing and directing, and especially McDormand, it just struck me, and I still think about it a lot to this day. So, and it is playing now, and I just really love 3 Billboards. It's a great film. It's already racking up a lot of awards and nominations, so it's definitely one to check out. It's the movie that resonated with me the most, but it's the movie that I think stands out for 2017 and the one that deserves to be number 1. So again, my top 10 list: Get Out, Blade Runner 2049, Wind River, The Disaster Artist, The Shape of Water, The Big Sick, The Post, Lady Bird, Dunkirk, and 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. That's with all the other amazing films that put forth in 2017. So thank you guys so much for watching this. If you want to, all these movies are getting released on DVD and Blu-ray soon, or they're out in theaters, or just find them. They're great films. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. And we'll see what 2018 has to offer. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.